Android users, you can now have TYT in the palm of your hand. Our TYT app is available for download in the Google Play Store. Just go to tyt.com/app to find out more.
Rudy Giuliani keeps digging the Trump administration's grave a little bit deeper. In an interview today with the New York Daily News, Giuliani said that about Paul Manafort, it's a white-collar crime. Who the heck is in jeopardy? The American public. I have as much sympathy for Manafort as the president does.
Wow.
You know what? They should issue a glossary of terms, because since truth isn't truth, everything that that comes out of Fire Marshal Bill's mouth here is always contrary to what the truth is or what right is. It's just so disgusting at this point.
Now crime isn't crime.
No. Crime isn't crime, but I think that I know what you're saying. It's definitely in contrary to what is correct and right and like presidential and legal. But he's basically saying that now white collar crime just isn't crime. And admitting this is white collar crime. And then two, basically because rich people don't get, ever accused for the crimes or convicted of the crimes that they commit, it's not really a crime. Who did he hurt?
Yeah,
come on.
Who does he hurt by withholding millions of dollars that could help the public and cheating on business? Like white collar people have never done anything to harm anyone by, mis-selling mortgage-backed securities and causing the collapse of the housing. No, nothing. White collar people are fine. We should prosecute the real criminals who do things like steal baby formula from a store or sell weed to a cancer patient. Like they're the ones who should be in our jails, not these people taking millions of dollars out of the system with their white-collar non-crime.
All the black guys that stop and frisk was for, like all of those brown people who commit those crimes that people who are broke, hungry, and struggling commit. Not these guys who are part of the problem that keep the people who are oppressed down. Not the cause of the real problem. They should not get in trouble. Only the people who are suffering from the symptoms.
There is a remarkably liberal statement in the middle of that, though, that I actually, by Giuliani's standards, he's wrong about Manafort, but he said, who's in jeopardy? The American public. If he's genuinely arguing for a new standard of criminal punishment where people evaluate whether the American public is genuinely at peril and genuinely at threat from these people's crimes and then don't send them to prisoners as a result, he's about to revolutionize the prison industry. Millions of people are gonna be freed overnight.
Actually judge crimes based on the harm they're committing to the general public, yeah.
And I think that's what Giuliani was saying right there. I think that's the real underlying point that he was going for.
No, this is great. And so it didn't end there, of course, his interview continued. When talking about whether or not Trump will pardon Manafort, because remember, all of this is because Manafort is not on the S list. Manafort is still A-OK. Trump is very sympathetic to Paul Manafort because he hasn't, quote unquote, flipped, which is a word now Trump is using because he is a mob boss. But Giuliani did say that Trump does have the power to do it in reference to whether or not to pardon Paul Manafort, but that Manafort is hardly a menace to society. Just to remind viewers, Manafort is 69. He headed Trump's campaign between May and August 2016, was convicted in Virginia on Tuesday of 8 counts of fraud relating to the most shadowy lobbying work he did for pro-Kremlin political forces in Ukraine. He faces another trial. This is just one trial, right? There were 18 counts in all, convicted of 8, and apparently 10 of them the jury was almost in full unanimity about, but didn't get the conviction. But he's got another trial coming up on charges of being an unregistered foreign agent for foreign lobbying, money laundering, and lying to the FBI. Prosecutors plan to present more than double the amount of evidence in that trial, and Manafort could face an additional 20-year sentence if convicted.
So there's two parts of the story, as Francesca just explained. Let me take them one at a time. When Rudy first started talking about pardoning Manafort, that's obstruction of justice right there, basically saying, hey, you just got convicted, you might spend the rest of your life in prison. This would be the time that you would turn on Trump and give evidence that we know you clearly have about Donald Trump. Otherwise, why are we talking about pardons for this obvious criminal that was just convicted? And then he had to take it back because that was so brazen act of obstruction of justice. But the way he took back didn't make it any better. He's like, oh, we'll have to wait till Mueller's investigation is over, then give him the pardon. Well, you just promised him a pardon either way, right? So that's still obstruction of justice. And then
Let's not get crazy now, Cenk. We gotta have some sort of pretense, though. Let him finish the investigation.
I'm not going to give you a bribe now. I'm going to wait until after the police have left and then give you a bribe.
Yeah, that doesn't make it any better. Now, but I actually think the first part, even though that's the illegal part, I think the first part is worse for them because of how over-the-top offensive it is to the average American. So, and even Republicans. So he said, I mean, what is he, a menace to society? Now remember, Eric Garner was choked to death, partly based on his history of selling loose cigarettes, meaning cigarettes one at a time. It's not even pot, it's just cigarettes to avoid some taxes. At the time that he was choked to death, he was actually not even doing that. He was a good Samaritan on that particular day. But people, and this the Republicans, some Republicans do not agree with us on. They're like, oh, menace to society. I mean, geez, and Lord mercies, one cigarette at a time. That's crazy, right? But but Manafort is not a menace to society, according to Rudy Giuliani. I think this is where he loses even conservatives, because he's like, what harm did he ever do? Well, he hid this was one of the 8 charges. He hid $30 million so that he wouldn't have to pay taxes on it.
Right.
Taxes at his bracket is 40%, about 40%. That's $12 million that he took from the American taxpayers. Because when he doesn't pay it, you have to pay it.
That's right.
And so he basically stole $12 million. Do you know how many loose cigarettes that is? Okay, he stole $12 million from you guys. And you got to pay more hard-earned taxes. And he turns around and goes, hey, look, when us rich people do crime, is it really crime?
Yep.
I think even conservatives look at that and go, man, this guy's such a jerk, to say the least. And they're not buying that. And even the jurors, he's like, I don't know what the jury was thinking. That's another quote he had. One of the jurors said, I came in wanting to make sure he was innocent because I like Donald Trump. But the evidence was overwhelming. I couldn't help but convict him. That's what they were thinking.
That's a good juror.
That's right. And that's a person who, by the way, did not come in with a completely open mind, but was at least open-minded enough to do her job as a juror.
Just go like, what? This guy is ludicrously guilty.
Yes.
Overwhelmingly upset. And also, while we're talking about what harm did he do, Francesca was talking about the fact that he was funding pro-Kremlin Ukrainian government destabilization. Like, oh, what harm is he doing to the American public? Oh, I don't know, destabilizing the world.
That's the Ukrainian public, though. Man, come on. No,
and nothing that happens in Ukraine ever spills over to America. We're fine. Manafort's a great guy.
Yeah, that'll never affect
all of this, of course, is headed towards what I think we've talked about here a lot, which is they know they're guilty, and once they get caught, the answer is, so what? So what? Either that or the very Dave Chappelle, I'm sorry, officer, I didn't know I couldn't do that. That's it. It's just, these are the excuses of pure privilege. So what?
Yep.
And I'm sorry, officer, I couldn't do that. Not even I'm sorry. It's like, what? Couldn't do that?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
No, you nailed it, Francesca. This is privilege defined.
Absolutely.
And this is rich man's privilege. I get to commit crime and get away with it. And you, if you ever stole anything, right? And what did they say about Michael Brown? That he stole cigarettos or whatever they are. It always comes back to cigarettes or something, right? He stole something that might have been worth $0.25, right? $0.25. This guy steals $12 million in one of the 8 charges. And Giuliani's like, yeah, but he's rich. It's okay. Is that really a crime?
He's one of our guys. And that's what we do. We protect our own, and it's us against them. And until the general public comes to realize that this is a battle of the haves and the have-nots, that all the other stuff is a distraction, though valid, until we start learning solidarity and we stop writing for these parties and start writing for the people, we will continue to perish because they don't care about any of us.
Never miss another TYT video by ringing the bell below. You'll get notified whenever we publish something new. And don't forget to join TYT and download the TYT Plus app today. Download the TYT Plus app on your phone or head over to tyt.com/join.